Dota 2 fans, and welcome to another edition of Dota 2 Asia Championships. This is your Asia qualifier. We've got a best of two Team DK versus TongFu. We are HeflaTV, your English coverage. I am Morage, please, joined by Grandis V, and we've got quite a big matchup for you, a little bit significant in terms of top 4 implications. We've got TongFu looking to close out DK here. If they win this best of 2, they'll secure a spot in the top 4 and move on to the LAN finals. Grandis, do we have any forecast on this TongFu DK matchup?
Unfortunately, DK not doing that well inside the qualifiers and are definitely not the favorites as far as it comes to the raw power from each of the individual players too. They are currently not a hope of a top 6 finish, and let alone top 4.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, mathematically eliminated, but playing for pride at this point for sure. TongFu, U9, Kabu, and company looking really good thus far. They were able to tie up their series 1-1 with both Big God and eHome, and they've pretty much rolled over everyone else in the competition, so they're currently sitting at 8 series wins. They're going to start off their draft with a Batrider, very strong pick, especially in the Eastern scene, and they're also going to go for a Troll who's come into favor heavily in this tournament.
Definitely, and for DK, the Axe and Vengeful Spirit also some really star-studded picks for them. Nice synergy with the physical damage coming out from Helix, as well as minus armor from Wave, and all around just really solid heroes.
Yeah, definitely so. Gonna cue some early aggression, perhaps. They will have the positional advantage with the Venge being able to swap out of that lasso if he's disciplined in doing so. A couple of interesting bans coming out from both sides. Broodmother Jug, pretty standard lately from TongFu, but we'll see a Viper Ember Spirit Lycan opening bans from DK. A little bit interesting there. Lycan, pretty good in the hands of TongFu, but not sure if it's worth a ban that early on. Either way, DK opting for the SF mid. What are your thoughts on this pick?
It really has seen quite a lot more play as of late and has worked pretty well for teams. Just the raw ability to fight early on, and as well as scaling into the late game, always having that threat of a late game Shadow Fiend is not something to underestimate. With a defensive support like the Vengeful Spirit offering swaps against the Batrider Lasso, and even to get you some distance away from the Troll, it really seems to fit into DK's lineup.
Yeah, definitely so, and to add to his certain amount of potential in this matchup, they do have the Axe to deter a little bit of the damage going the Shadow Fiend's way. That's certainly one of his weaknesses before he's able to get a BKB up, is pretty susceptible to some magic damage burst, although TongFu not much in the way of magic damage thus far. They've even banned out the AA and the Skywrath themselves, so perhaps they'll look to remedy that with their next pickup. Already going for 2 cores here, they're probably going to look to pick up a support and leave it open for that last pickup, whether it be the safe laner or the mid laner for them.
Yeah, and for now it is going to be the Jakiro, presumably played as a support, going to offer them some nice utility here and there, as well as some early push on the towers. The tower pushing power from TongFu is definitely no joke. Between Battle Trance as well as Liquid Fire, they pretty much have that covered.
Yeah, Battle Trance certainly underrated as an ability to push, and you don't necessarily have to look or have to have what looks like a pushing lineup on paper for that Battle Trance to help you be able to melt some structures down. So we will see DK ban out the Invoker. They're going to take that away from U9 and also from Kian from time to time, playing that in the safe lane. So interesting pickup from them. They'll get a strong hero pretty late during the pick phase. They'll pick up the Tide Hunter here. So with the Axe and the Tide, going to be interesting to see how they end up laning this, whether the Axe goes to the jungle or perhaps they do put one of them in the safe lane. But either way, TongFu picking up an Abaddon here, and very interesting pick for them early on. Looks like their support duo will be the Jakiro and Abba.
Yeah, and it is going to allow the Troll Ward to fight very aggressively with the Photic Shield and heal backing up. But then again, I really like how much synergy DK has, in particular the minus armor coming out from all their heroes, as well as a lot of heroes to abuse it. It really feels like they have a nice self-contained lineup.
Yeah, definitely so, and the positioning from them as well as the ability to get off the Requiem should be pretty real here. The call hitting on a couple of targets will allow him to channel that up, or a very nice Ravage from the Tide as well, so definitely favoring them on paper thus far. Of course, TongFu can certainly make this work if they hit an early timing window with the Blink, Lasso, with the Batrider, the Battle Trance, get it up early, that level 4 in Liquid Fire, and they can start to translate it into a few structures off of those Batrider pickoffs. playoffs. Interestingly enough, DK gonna ban out the Weaver here in this first game in the final phase. So TongFu certainly looking for a one-position carry or perhaps a mid laner here. Weaver pretty good with the Abaddon as well, as he is fairly survivable in the first place. So the Fog Shield does allow him to lay a few Geminate attacks into the opponent.
Yeah, it would have worked pretty nicely for them. I do like DK respecting a very mobile carry for TongFu. They probably could get away with it, even though they have Tidehunter, Venge, Axe to lock down those targets. Their disables don't come out fast enough, it really feels.
Yeah, Bloodseeker ban going to come out from TongFu as well. So probably would have been a support Bloodseeker. Would have been a little bit greedy from DK, but definitely not bad versus the lineup that TongFu does have thus far. The Batrider certainly relying on mobility, will be pretty susceptible to that Rupture, and therefore they're going to take him out. Also, the Silence pretty nice versus the Abaddon. They're going to rely on him for the sustain in team fights. So definitely something would have threw a wrench into TongFu's plan. Maybe something they're just not comfortable playing up against as well.
Yeah, well, for now, DK presumably sitting on a support to fill up their last position, unless they really want to hit it hard and throw the axe towards the jungle, although I really wouldn't favor that.
Yeah, definitely looks greedy enough as is. They are going to have a lot on the back of this Shadow Fiend if they opt for the Tricore of the Axe SF Tidehunter, but they do have a lot of space creators and a lot of ways to lock people down, as you had mentioned before, with the Call, with the Ravage, the Nether Swap, as well as that Magic Missile. Small nerf to the Magic Missile in the way of the cooldown. If you guys didn't see those recent changes, 6.83b, also some nerfs to Jug, but those are irrelevant for this game. He was the first ban from TongFu. DK gonna pick up a mobile carry of their own after banning out the Weaver, and they are gonna opt for some serious greed in this one.
Then again, it seems like they might be able to get away with it. With Jakiro and Abaddon as a supporting duo from TongFu, although they're self-sufficient in lane, their ability to roam and actually punish a jungling axe is very limited.
Yeah, their aggressive potential is certainly not too scary, so the jungling axe can definitely work out here. Venge should be defensive support who's good enough to keep them from any kill potential there. They're going to have to level up at least 1 point in the Abaddon slow for them to find any kill potential, but they will round things out with a Rubik, or perhaps looking to get a little more aggressive. As you mentioned, that's something they certainly lack, and they will run this Jakiro out of a core role. So definitely both lineups here are going to rely heavily on their mid laners in U9's Troll and Dreamy U's Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, we'll have to see if TongFu are able to hit the timing window with that core Jakiro hard enough to really dent DK, because if DK are able to extend this game out, they really don't have a lot to fear. Even though a Troll late game is nothing to scoff at, it is just going to be the Troll, and Shadow Fiend and Slark have more than enough tools at their disposal to deal with them.
Yeah, definitely something a little bit worrisome for TongFu is their timing window, and as you mentioned, the late game looks to be heavily in the favor of DK, so definitely something that they can look to transition towards, and definitely going to try to stall things out and at least survive for this early game once TongFu hits their stride with that max level Liquid Fire, the Battle Trance, and the Lasso Blink combo coming out for the Batrider. Regardless, let's hop into the game. 5-man movement into the bot lane from TongFu. We've got U9 picking up the Troll Warlord. Kabu going to be playing on his Rubik. Jin Q playing on the Jakiro. Kian on the Batrider. And finally, LPC playing on the Abaddon.
And leading the charge for DK, Black Sea going to be playing on the Tidehunter, Cold Snap on the Slark, XPG on the Vengeful Spirit, Dreamy U on the Shadow Fiend, and CTY on the Axe, also in a 5-man rotation, all inside the rotation of the Roche pit. They are going to be all tagged by that sticky napalm. Running out of this pit is very slow and painful for them. Magic Missile going to open up on his Zinq as they pounce him down, but Cold Snap taking too much damage. The Aphotic Shield going to snap, but that's going to be first blood drawn by U9, and now looking towards XPG. They should be able to give him the run down. A clean 2-0 for TongFu to start this off.
Yeah, luckily for them, Kian able to get them vision with that sticky napalm. He's charging down Dreamy U in the mid lane with 6 stacks of napalm on him as well. 290 MS to the 240 of the Shadow Fiend, but Kian's going to catch a Magic Missile and a few right clicks from Doyu. The Shadow Raise is there as well, and XPG finding the kill. LPC a little bit too late to rotate in. Jin Q going to look to find this bounty rune top, but it looks like it will go the way of XPG, so a nice little return kill going DK's way, but regardless, first blood over to TongFu, and they'll take the early engagement 2-1.
A rotation that all too many teams are comfortable with moving is going for a massive heroes inside that Roshan pit, and TongFu were prepared for it, bringing in pretty much everybody into that exchange. Even though DK's level 1 fighting potential is pretty potent, not when everybody's slowed down by that sticky napalm and just perpetually kited.
Yeah, it looks like CTY taking over the mid lane at least temporarily. He probably will rotate back to the jungle now as the TP does come in from DreamyU, but that's going to secure U9 a little bit of an advantage here. He's picked up his level 2 already. He'll drag the wave underneath his tower already, so U9 going to have a little bit of a good time in mid. It looks like dual lanes coming out from TongFu and the Jakiro, Abaddon in the top lane. Not going to have too much kill potential, but they certainly will be able to find their farm on Jin Q's Jakiro.
They do need to be careful, especially the Abaddon. If he gets tagged by a magic missile as well as a pounce coming after the Slark, maybe, just maybe, there is some killing potential in return. But for now, they'll put some tier 1 tower pressure, and it's something that they can be very comfortable in doing. Tidehunter going to be left bottom versus the Batrider and Rubik dual lane of all things. Tidehunter, more often than not, can purge out the stacks of sticky napalm if the Batrider is going aggressive, but then again, at that point, maybe the damage has already been done. So Black Sea needs to be careful, although for the most part, he should be able to get his experience at the very least and some semblance of farm.
Yeah, you definitely usually would see that max anchor smash in a 1v1 lane, but perhaps first the Batrider, we do see the second point in the Kraken Shell for the kill potential, as you mentioned. He's got 3 stacks up on Black Sea, but he's rotating to the left and should be okay for now. He is ticking down fairly low. Kraken Shell should, no, not going to be enough damage there to remove those napalm stacks, and we will see Kian back off for the time being. Looks like Rubik just here in order to keep the creep equilibrium in the Batrider's favor, and Kian's going to have an early blink, which presumably will help out TongFu quite a bit.
Definitely. Well, for now, Troll completely dominating the mid lane, as probably he should. After the Shadow Fiend's forced all the way back, has a solid level advantage over him, as well as completely destroying the CS. 13-3 compared to the 2-1 of the Shadow Fiend, and under tower, SF isn't getting much of anything either. These first couple of waves are very important for DreamyU on the SF, and it's just not looking good for him at all.
Yeah, he's only sitting on 2 souls, and he's going to have to try and find a few underneath the tower. He does use a raise there, and will be able to find 1 or 2, so he will have some sort of lane presence, but the level advantage already accrued pretty heavily by U9. He's got 14 and 4 in terms of his CS to the 5 and 1 of DreamyU, so looking very good. Drags the wave under his tower here, and will be able to pull it back quite a bit, but DreamyU having some nice blocks there, will probably be able to find a couple of last hits from this one.
In good news for DK, the Axe has been able to jungle up his Tranquil Boots, and now he's pretty sustained as he goes through his jungle rotation, and we're not going to see TongFu, at least for now, be able to actually punish this jungle Axe, so he is well on his way towards a pretty darn fast Blink Dagger to match the one that should be coming out from the bat.
Yeah, and that'll be a big pickup as well. Certainly something you alluded to in the draft is the inability for these supports from TongFu to take down the Axe. Of course, with the Rubik, they may have a little bit of kill potential, but opting for the dual lanes doesn't look like that will be the case. XBG sitting on the high ground, perhaps thinking of going for a courier snipe, but U9 already with a full bottle PMS as well as his boots. Going to be just fine. Black Sea has been telekinesed up bot lane. He'll be dropped right into the Firefly. There is a 3 napalm stacks on him. He will be able to stick up for the time being, but Firefly duration is there as long as Kian stays in range, and the Fade Bolt, 1 more right click from Kabu. They'll take down Black Z. 3-1 is your score 4 minutes in.
Even though Kraken Shell is useful utility to have up against the Batrider, is by no means an end-all be-all, and you do need to be very careful in this lane, as most offlaners would up against a Bat. So just a 1 too many stacks going his way up towards top. Traded blows as Cold Snap goes strong into Zinq with some backup from the Abaddon. However, Cold Snap's going to be forced to pull back with the pounce. He is going to be just fine. Rotation in for the bench, as well as the Axe towards this top lane as they look to make something happen on LPC.
Yeah, they're going to aggress towards him, but looks like they got vision just at the last second. Not able to get the call off. There's the magic missile, though. Call should be on 2. Nicely placed by CTY. Pounce through. A Photic Shield going to go down. He'll get the dual breath off, but he should be clicked down and will be. LPC going to find a return kill. However, 3 seconds still on his Aphotic Shield. He will drop to a counter Helix. Overall, 2 for 1, but meanwhile, in the mid lane, U9 picking up a kill solo, it seems, on the Shadow Fiend. And overall, that's not bad for TongFu at all.
Yeah, it really isn't. The Troll is running this mid lane, and that death really harms Shadow Fiend. At this point, his ability to stay in the lane is pretty much completely negated as U9 with the slow coming out from the ranged axes can just run him down. Now with backup from the Abaddon, he's going to go strong. Melee axe is going to connect, and now Dreamy U, if they get one bash, and maybe they don't even need it, just need a couple more ranged axes. Let's see if the jukes are going to be enough. Dreamy U, they only need one more auto attack. He's going to go down towards the south, evading the troll, at least for now, but one more ranged axe is going to be the end of his life as the Aphotic Shield breaks and gives Abaddon a kill. They TP in one, but that one is not going to be enough to get the return, or is it? XBG just can't find the range.
Yeah, LPC with another Aphotic Shield as well. XBG gonna have to back off. Will place a high ground ward here to scout out the rune as well as any entrance to Roshan. With U9 getting levels this early, they may be able to take an early Rosh as well as having the Liquid Fire to slow his attack speed. But for now, still another nice trade in the mid, and Dreamy U gonna rotate over to the safe lane for now as bot lane Black Z goes down once again to the duo of the Rubik and Batrider.
He had 12 magic wand charges, but deciding it wouldn't have helped him either way. It's pretty much the same exact story that we saw previous. XPG looking for a deep ward or something. Not exactly sure what the plan is from the Vengeful Spirit. She didn't drop any wards inside the woods she was hunting, but I don't think this ends well for her, especially once you get lasted. They bring in the axe, and Kian's low. Kian needs to be careful. They get 3 stacks of napalm on revenge, but now the axe is hunting. ZTY going to return, chasing towards Kian, and is going to be able to get the attackation off with, oh my goodness, I can't actually speak, but with that Coiling Blade. They look towards Kabu, but he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, he decapitated the crap out of them there, but the rotation in from LPC is going to catch a magic missile in the face. Telekinesis will be there with the Mistcoil, and the range axes come through from U9 rotating in as well. However, CTY was able to extricate himself from the situation. No danger there. Meanwhile, Jin Q's rotated bottom as well. Perhaps they look to group up for a tower push, but for now, it looks like a bit of a lane swap coming out from TongFu. Meanwhile, this has given Dreamy U some space in mid to farm. He's picked up 18 souls, so not quite near max at all, but looks like U9 gonna look to get aggressive on him once again. There's no tier 1 tower here. He's got the battle trance at the ready, looking for a bash. He's got the melee axes as well, doesn't even need the battle trance. And Dreamy U gonna go down once again for the 3rd time on the Shadow Fiend.
This is going to be a long road to recovery on the SF, and this, if there is a hero that can do it, Shadow Fiend does have the ability to flash farm up some creeps every once in a while, but still his impact in this game is going to be incredibly limited, especially when you compare him directly to his lane partner, or lane opponent rather, 303 on U9, whereas the SF has done nothing but die, it seems.
Yeah, unfortunately for them. Another good thing going DK's way, though, however, as Dreamy U does port bottom, is that Culling Blade bottom did give Axe the advantage
Counts
over
up top.
Kian. And it looks like Cold Snap going to back off for now. Kian will be okay. So Kian sitting on 1,500 gold, and the Axe sitting on 1,900 after that kill, also topping the board with 40 CS. So the Blink Dagger will be a bit earlier for this Axe than it will for the Batrider, but Kian can always retreat to the jungle and find his fairly quickly. There is now a triple stack ready for him at the Radiant hard camp.
It definitely is. Speaking to the ability of Axe to farm, and one of the reasons why he's such a top tier pick is because he's able to accelerate his farm so much inside the jungle, and we'll have to see where that first blink rotation is going to be and whether or not that nets him a kill. Well, DK for now are reserved to be on their side of the map, and same story for TongFu. They'll give Abaddon some space as U9 farms up in the jungle.
Yeah, he's going to find borrowed time fairly soon. Will allow him to rotate around a little bit more aggressively, perhaps with Kabu. Kabu also finding some space in the off lane. He's going to look to find that level 6. Lots to steal in this one between the Ravage, the Requiem, and the Vengeful Spirits toolkit. Nothing else too enticing for that Rubik, but either way, looks like a pretty good game for him. The Blink will now come out. Black Sea going to put some aggression into Jin Q bottom, but he should be just fine for now.
Yeah, I think right now all eyes are on CTY to see where this first blink rotation goes, and it is going to be with some help on the smoke. If they can involve the SF in any way in this kill, also could be pretty impactful. For now, he's just going to go up to farm some creeps, and he has been spotted out by Radiant Ward. I think they know the Blink Dagger is up for the Axe.
Yeah, the ping comes there, and they probably are expecting it around the 9-minute mark, with him netting that 1 kill, also farming the jungle. I'm sure TongFu are well aware of that timing window, and LPC has picked up his borrowed time. Now, there's also that full Liquid Fire max spam ability from Jin Q. He's picked up his level 7, almost level 8, so perhaps they look to mount a push bot lane, but there will be a 3-man smoke coming out from DK, and look to see if they can find some fruit with that Blink Dagger pickup.
Black Sea also packing the Ravage. We could be in for a pretty big fight. They're going to look for the full wraparound and instead set their sights on a Troll Warlord, who's been having such a grand time in the mid. They aren't going to bump into the Rubik, and now they're going to blink forward. They can call into U9. They will be able to follow up with a handful of raises. Magic Missile, second raise, and there is your Culling Blade. As CTY picks it up, they are going to lift him beneath the tower, but with the Culling Blade movement speed, it's going to be a quick retreat coming out from TK.
Blink is available from Keon. Perhaps he looks to find XPG. There's a decapitation on the Rubik as well, and he'll drop it. They get the movement speed to find it. Are they going to look to chase further? CTY getting very low. Fade Bolt is there with the Miscoil. A Photic Shield going to pop as well. Flame Break finishes him off from Keon. He'll have to get to the high ground soon, though, unless he get raised down. But a few more right clicks from Keon into DreamyU. He will drop him. DreamyU finds the counter kill with the experience going the way of the Batrider. And that's going to sound the retreat for everyone. Nice steal from Kabu there. Don't know that I've seen Rubik decapitate anyone anytime recently.
Definitely not. Not because Axe isn't very popular, because everybody knows that he is right now, at least in the DAC, but because Rubik isn't getting picked up as much. 2-3 is going to be final kill score trade, and although they are going to be able to put a little bit of pressure onto U9, a lot of gold into the pocket of the Batrider, 2 going to complete up a full magic wand after the fact, and going to be working towards his Force Staff, and all things considered, TongFu find a favorable engagement, especially since the Shadow Fiend is going to die yet again, and he is going to be going for the Mushi build as pretty standard for the DAC Shadow Fiends. Buckler completed, but well away from actually getting that full mech.
Yeah, don't know how much the armor is going to do for him in this one. Mech certainly a nice pickup overall for the team. Bottom lane, they're going to put a dual breath into the wave. It looks like Shinkyu going to push that out and perhaps bait himself out here. Looking for a blink from CTY. Will cancel it actually with the Liquid Fire. Ice Path is going to go out, lands on one. Kabu jumping in. He'll find the Telekinesis onto XBG, but a swap back onto the Tidehunter. Black Sea not looking to use Ravage, however. Blink forward from CTY. He'll find the call on one, and there's the Culling Blade. They bring down the first of the fight. That's Jin Q. LPC will have the borrowed time pop. Jump in from Keon. Fade Bolt will finish off the Tidehunter. Cold Snap jumping around Shadow Dance, but U9 is here with the range for him. Not going to be able to blink forward to find him, and thus far, 1-for-1 Jakiro for the Tidehunter. Unfortunately, Jakiro is really the bulk of the push power from TongFu, so they will have to back off.
Yeah, blink away from the Batrider is going to keep everybody safe, and pretty even trade from both sides. A lot of experience going to pretty much everybody involved, and yeah, about writes the story of that last fight. There's really not much that is going to happen after the fact either immediately. We're going to be waiting for the next blink initiation from the Batrider really before TongFu were able to keep up the aggression, but then again, DK having the axe at a really good amount of HP and mana might be able to find a window where TongFu are not really at the ready to fight.
Yeah, definitely so. Interesting pickup from U9. He'll pick up the blink on the Troll, hoping for a bit of RNG, but the mischance from the Whirling Axe's melee, certainly something that's underrated, so jumping and getting that off reliably, especially on these targets like the SF and the Slark, is pretty useful in fights. Meanwhile, top lane, Jinkyu is going to get pounced up by Cold Snap. He'll get a dual breath off, and looks like Cold Snap will have to back. He's ticking down pretty low. 10 seconds on his Shadow Dance. He'll actually Dark Packed off the Liquid Fire, but there'll be another one there, and he is getting pretty low. Meanwhile, CTY does find a kill bottom lane onto Kabu, and Cold Snap will be able to back off and regen up under that Shadow Dance passive. Jinkyu gonna have to wait for some support in this top lane. He's not too far though off his Yule Scepter, is just looking to pick up that Void Stone.
And an important pickoff on the Rubik it was as well. That's the dominating spree, and as that Rubik was having a grand old time, 4-0-6 on that hero, and they involved the Shadow Fiend in it as well, which is going to allow you to have that completed up headdress and very close to getting that full mechanism up.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a nice pickup for DreamyU. He's going to need some momentum. He's sitting at level 9, which is barely above the 3 supports in the game, as the Axe was jungling, so he is in level 9 himself. But U9 and Keon both sitting at level 11 right now. That level 2 Lasso and Battle Trance is up, and they will smoke immediately off the back of those pickups. Perhaps they go into the Roshan pit, or perhaps they look for this pickoff. CTY is going to be a big kill here. He's picked off a few in the last little bit, and it will go the way of Keon. So that's a nice pickup for them. They're scouting out Black Z as well. Perhaps they will know that there is some Radiant Vision here after that one. But either way, a nice clean pickoff going the way of TongFu. And they will look to even take out Black's Ancient here. So a little bit of salt in the wound from TongFu.
Definitely. Black desperately wanted that extra infusion of gold, but not going to be able to find it. They chase down onto the Jakiro swap, but the Magic Missile, it is going to come out maybe a little too late. Never mind. Zinkyu going to be raised down by the Shadow Fiend. They're going to be able to get a lift up, but that's about all she wrote. The troll might be able to pursue with the blink dagger. Both teams are going to pull back, however.
Yeah, Kabu stole the pounce off of Cold Snap, but not the best ability to have when you are as squishy as he is currently sitting. 781. Cold Snap, speaking of pounce, going to find Kabu with that. He'll pounce him back, but he will drop down as LPC doesn't drop the aphotic shield on him first, the miscoil. He will drop it onto himself. Requiem is going to be there, though, doing a lot of damage. He'll be able to stick up. Wave of Terror goes through, but he'll be fast enough with that haste rune to make it away. So fortunate for him, it's only a 2-0 in the top lane. Jakiro going down earlier, but Kabu being picked off in the forest as well. Meanwhile, Jinkyu has picked up, well, not quite enough for his Yule Scepter, so will be a little bit of a ways off, and he's been delayed quite a bit here. 1800 gold on the Tidehunter, still about 400 away from his precious Blink Dagger.
Importantly for the Slark now, he finally is able to spend his gold, and it's going to be on a full Shadow Blade up for Cold Snap. This is very important for DK. If they're able to ride the momentum of Shadow Blade, it's a wonderful pick. But then again, if they aren't able to get these kills and play aggressively with it, it probably would have been better spent in some other item.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm usually a fan of the Blink over the Shadow Blade, but here it's certainly nice to be able to get yourself out if you are lassoed in and not quite brought down. But generally, you do have the Shadow Dance for that. Meanwhile, the big right click from the Shadow Blade is going to help Cold Snap bring down Kabu as well. They're going to call up LPC, but the borrowed time will be there. Jump forward, Battle Trance is popped by U9, and with the melee whirling axis, he'll be able to bring down CTY. Jinkyu will be there with an ice path. It's going to be dodged by Cold Snap. He had a dark pack there, so could have walked into it, but either way, he'll Shadow Dance, pounce up to the high ground, and should be just fine to regen back up. Nicely played by him, and he'll mitigate the damage and stop the bleeding. 1-for-1 overall in the top lane.
Not exactly how you want to show off that Shadow Blade for the first time. The Cold Snap dies there. It's an unmitigated disaster, but in the end, it's going to be pretty even. Now with that intel, they are going to be buying very many sentries, especially Kabu, and that is one of the benefits of having that Shadow Blade, just putting a little bit of economic damage, especially on the supports.
Yeah, definitely so. It looks like they'll group up for a push in the top lane. Meanwhile, mid lane, Keon's found out Dreamy U. He does have the support coming in from U9. There's the range whirling axis. Battle Chances pop. Flame Break will be there, but he'll be able to mech up, and he'll get swapped back by XBG. There's not too much support behind. U9 walks headlong up to the high ground. He'll get called up. Ravage is there on 2. It brings down the troll. It actually hits on 3. And borrowed time going to be up from LPC, but he should be soon to fall as well. Jump forward for Cold Snap. Doesn't land the pounce. Dark Pack will be there onto Keon. Flame Break will keep him at bay, but LPC should be the sacrificial lamb for Keon. Keon staying a little bit too far forward, but the telekinesis comes in from Kabu, who's trapped himself there. The Fade Bolt goes through many, and the Ice Blast is onto 2, but Cold Snap finishes off the Rubik. Firefly is going to be here from Keon onto many. Requiem pop, though. Keon getting very low with the Shadow Blade. Cold Snap will be able to finish him off. Yule Scepter up onto C2I. Dual Breath will be there as well, but no kill potential coming out from the Jakiro, and overall a huge win for TongFu.
Even though the Jakiro is able to consistently land 2, 3-man, even 4-man Ice Pass with the Macro Pyre landing onto 3 as well. There just isn't enough follow-up without the troll. He had a double damage rune, but a really well-played turn by DK. Axe dropping low to the Jakiro, but right now Zinkyu just can't look for anything else, and DK find themselves a much-needed bone. It is going to be the Axe getting assassinated with that blink on U9, but now Cold Snap's being assassinated. He's going to jump in with Shadow Blade. He's going to get bashed, but purchase that one off. Cold Snap can take this man fight and is going to be forced to pull out. They need more backup to help out Cold Snap, and it's just nowhere to be found. Cold Snap dropping low, and they keep vision of him. He's going to be able to leap up towards the high ground. No Shadow Blade available, not even any mana to use it if he wanted to. He'll Yules him up, looking towards the Ice Path next. He isn't able to get the Purge, and even if he did, probably would have killed him anyway. Ending the killing spree is Troll Warlord with those melee axes.
Yeah, nice return kill there, going TongFu's way after a big engagement towards DK. They will be scouted out here by this Dire Ward as they jump into the Roshan pit. No Ravage, however, available for the Tidehunter, and it doesn't look like they will be willing to defend this. Dreamy is going to rotate in, no Requiem for 30 seconds, and they will actually group up as 5 towards the Roche pit. Roche at about 50%. Keon's going to jump over and find the lasso onto XBG, however, and this Vengeful Spirit will fall quickly. Kabu going to get swapped up to the high ground. He will steal a magic missile, but will be out of range, so essentially a 4v4 at this point. Yule Scepter Ice Path up onto Black Z. Ravage not up for 20 seconds. Blink forward from U9 will catch out Dreamy U. The call call is there from CTY, but only going to delay the inevitable as the Shadow Fiend does go down. There's the ranged axes as well from U9. He's going absolutely ham on this Troll Warlord, but he will be backed off by Black Sea currently. Ice Path is going to land. Cold Snap looking to find something in the back lines. Blink forward from CTY will catch U9, but it looks like the axe will go down first himself, and the Mistcoil keeps up U9. Nice Yule Scepter onto Cold Snap as well. Jump forward, Ravage on 3 though. Black Sea will bring down 2 of them. It looks like Kian next to fall to Cold Snap, and a huge counter initiation from Black Sea there. TongFu overstaying their welcome, and they will bring down the SF as well as the axe. Earlier on they bring down the Venge, but they lose 3 of their own.
Cold Snap caught out inside the river, and he knew they had vision of him with the Sentry Wards, but now outside of the range, going to look for the auto attack on his Zinki with the extra Shadow Blade damage, is going to be able to bring down the Chibiro. Lifted up, Magic Missile, Fateful. Slark can do nothing about it, and he is going to be giving his life for that pickoff. An absolute bloodbath here as we're almost hitting 2 kills a minute, and maybe even a little bit more.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Roche gets to go back into his cave and eat his lunch. Everyone going to have to back off. Kabu playing very well on this Rubik, 5-4 and 8 overall. And in terms of KDA, is quite a ways up there, third to the Slark as well as the Troll Warlord of Cold Snap and U9. Speaking of the Troll, U9 gonna be able to pick up that BKB.
Even without the advantage going their favor necessarily in the gold. In fact, it's been hovering at between 1k to 4k in TongFu's favor. We'll hold that as we have a jump in mid. Not going to actually catch out Kabu, and now they're going to be able to lift up CTY into the loving arms of U9 with the axes. They are going to be able to pull back CTY as well with the bat. Getting the lasso off, going to be another kill in the favor of TongFu. But as I was saying, DK have still been able to take some pretty good fights. But now, with that one pickup, they'll go into the Roshan pit. TongFu are pretty comfortable with taking this, even without much lifesteal on their side. In fact, none.
Yeah, a slight experience lead going DK's way, but Dreamy U being as behind as he is on this SF is really scary for them. A little bit of a detriment to their lineup, and a lot of love going mid lane the way of CTY, as you mentioned. Shadow Fiend is going to pick up his Ogre Club now, but the Roshan taken down by TongFu, and U9 will pick up that Aegis, so he'll be able to go even more aggressively than he has been thus far. Kian already pushing out the bot wave, and it looks like they will mount for a push here. Kabu, however, having to base for the time being.
Yeah, TongFu, they are going to immediately go towards high ground, but these tier 2 towers are pretty easy for the taking. With the Liquid Fire applied to them, as well as U9 popping that Battle of Trance, they're going to be dropping very quickly. The Glyph is only going to delay the inevitable, as U9 and company are still going to be going to town on that tier 2.
Yeah, they will look to find a trade in the tier 1 mid lane. Dreamy is chopping it down, but the Glyph is available. Lots of TPs as well. Kabu going to be the first of those, and TongFu thinking about going to the high ground, but a little bit of trepidation from them. They will back off despite having the Aegis here, and definitely not worth going high ground against a lineup that does have Ravage as well as an Axe and the Requiem of Souls this early on in the game.
Well, Bad Rider, fresh up with the Force Staff as well as the Lasso, potentially looking towards the Slark if he can catch that slippery little fish, but for now, it is going to be TongFu setting our sights on another lane as they've already taken the prize down towards bottom. They can continue up this aggression. Vladimir is offering picked up by the Troll freshly. Means that all of their team is going to be offered a lot of extra armor, which is really useful up against DK's lineup.
Yep, Kabu going to get initiated on. He'll get pounced up and brought down by Cold Snap. Shadow Blade doing a little bit of work there for him, and Cold Snap going to look to pursue even further on this Slark, in fact, but he's not going to find anything on the high ground currently. Meanwhile, bot lane, Dreamy U may be caught out here. There is a Yules into the Ice Path from Jin Q, and this should probably spell the end of Dreamy U. Actually, only LPC going to be here for now. He will be able to slow him down, miscoil him up as well. The Liquid Fire will be there. The mech is there from Dreamy U, however. Kian is here with the Flame Break. It's actually going to be thrown a bit wide, and Cold Snap rotating in from the south will be able to find Kian. He'll pounce him up. Easy kill onto the Bat Rider. Ravage on 3 as well. LPC gonna have his borrowed time pop, but Jin Q gonna get dunked here. No, he'll Yules himself up. Nicely dodged, but should be going down. Ghost Scepter is there as well. Ice Path gonna land on 2. There's a dual breath as well. Cold Snap dropping fairly low, but under Shadow Dance should be able to survive, and the passive does kick in there. But either way, 3 for 1 going DK's way, and that Flame Break missing onto the SF could have cost him a big engagement there. He was able to draw it out just long enough for Black Sea to come back in with that Ravage.
Unfortunately for DK, the Shadow Fiend is consistently having a poor time. U9 going to pick a fight with Black Sea and company. He's currently completely solo, however, and it looks like this is going to be the Aegis down. Where's the backup to help him for the second life? They do have the Rubik over in the sideline, stealing call, but U9 popping the BKB, trying to find a target to sit on. He's going to blink forward for XPG, bashing down this Vengeful Spirit. Isn't enough, however, to get the blink call. U9 now forced to attack onto CTY. Even with the Blade Mail active, it doesn't actually matter much. They look towards the lasso. They are going to be able to bring down this Venge. Maybe that's all that they can get. That costs them a buyback on the Bat Rider. Still looking for a target. U9 trying to stick onto Black Z, but with the blink away, this Tidehunter is going to buy himself a little bit of space, and Cold Snap potentially looking for a turn as U9 going around the corner, going to be called up. Now with the Blade Mail activated, they are going to be able to bash down TTY, but not enough. U9 dropping low, but not low enough. They can't actually kill off this troll. Some nice backup from the Ice Path coming out from the Jakiro as well. Now looking towards the chase on the Black Z. Going towards the north, Ice Path from long range, going to connect him out with Xin dropping another Liquid Fire into him with the Dual Breath connecting and the Flame Break this time. He is going to tick down, or is he? They just need a little bit more damage than Batten. Going to get it with the Aphotic Shield breaking.
Yeah, beautiful blink out as well. Nice reactions from U9 there. Able to stay up. Cold Snap trying to chase him down under the cover of that Shadow Blade, but has to back off as the rest of the lineup from TongFu coming in. So certainly worth that buyback on the Bat Rider. End up getting a very nice trade. Buybacks are available from the Tidehunter as well as the Axe here. Axe going to respawn fairly soon, but this may be a tier 2 forfeit TongFu's way.
It is the strength of having Troll on your team, and even if the fights don't go 100% your way, you're still able to go for these. Courier Snipe coming out from Cold Snap. Can he get out to safety? Going to be able to purge off the lift. Now gets off the ultimate, trying to assassinate the Rubik as well. Might be biting off more than he can shoot. Cold Snap now at the ultimate. He's not getting bashed. He is going to be able to get off one more purge, but it doesn't matter. The damage is too darn high, and that Courier Snipe probably not worth it. Now TongFu will be able to push for a little bit more.
Yeah, LPC's Maelstrom actually delivered before the courier goes down as well. Nothing on it, and no buyback available on this Slark at this moment, means that they may lose a full lane of racks here. Ravage is available as Black Sea does respawn, but he's just respawned now. Is going to have to walk over to that fight, and looks like their melee racks will be very low, if not gone, before Black Sea is able to jump in. He jumps in though. Ravage onto 5. Gets off a big Anchor Smash as well. Shadow Rays will be there. They'll bring down U9. Ice Path will be a little bit late from Jin Q. Macro Power goes out. It's only going to take down one. Triple kill going the way of the Tidehunter, and big misstep from TongFu. They're going to overstay their welcome. Jin Q will get gushed up. Not quite there on the high ground. Actually, the Cliff Ward giving the vision over to the Tidehunter. Ultra kill going Black Sea's way. Kian, the only one able to remove himself from that danger, and he'll instantly buy up a full refresher.
It's really tempting to say that's a win for DK, but only if they can get the proper snapback. They lose their melee barracks, and although it forces TongFu to commit heavily for it, they are going to lose grip on their advantage after that fight. I don't think it matters much, just because of the constant pressure going to be applied by those creeps. If they buy back and lose another fight, then it's clearly in the favor of DK, but right now, it's about these next couple minutes in the game, whether it actually matters or not.
Yeah, in terms of the metrics, everything looking fairly even. A little bit of an experience lead going DK's way, but more or less negligible at this point. And after that engagement, they will look to find a pickoff with Kian here. The lasso at the ready, not quite going to be in range, however, to find Black Z. And they will get scouted out in this mid lane. Kian will briefly buy this ward as he walks down to the low ground. And they will know he was looking for a pickoff. Everyone going to back up and look to farm up the Radiant jungle from the side of DK. CTY's got backup in the form of XPG and Dreamy U in the jungle, but not going to look to bait this out too long. And they will look to back off here. Some nice vision, however, established thus far by DK.
It's very interesting to actually look at the farm being picked up by both sides. If you take a look at the difference between the top net worth and the third from the bottom being the Abaddon, it's actually very slim in the grand scheme of things. Those next big items from DK, although they're crucial, the BKB on the Shadow Fiend, Refresher on the Tide, is going to be enough, especially if they get leaped in mid on the Tidehunter. He's going to be able to purge off the lasso, but it's not enough to save his life as he's just getting chopped down by U9, and that's going to be a dominating spree ended by everybody involved.
Yeah, no support near enough. Perhaps if he was able to get off a Ravage, they would have had 3 heroes pretty close in those that were bot lane, but still on cooldown for another 25 seconds when he was lassoed up. And this will sound the high ground push from TongFu, looking to eliminate this ranged Rax. There is a buyback, however, on the Tide, and the Ravage is now ready with the refresh. So perhaps they do look to mount a defense here, albeit in the meantime, Cold Snap is split pushing this tier 2. Probably will look to TP back after he takes that down. Glyph is going to be popped here. Buyback is also committed from the Tide. Ice Path lands onto 2. U9's BKB is popped, but they will look to back off. In fact, they have Yule's up XBG, who is deep behind enemy lines, but everyone looking to get out. Swap back from XBG is onto Jin Q. He's been caught out. He's been called up, and he will be brought down. Actually, he's going to be able to crop his Ghost Scepter and will survive for a little bit. Kabu on the high ground as well. Doesn't have anything available. He does have the Telekinesis, but no one quite in range. Jin Q going to get a nice Ice Path out before he eventually falls. And overall, LPC and Jin Q going down for nothing, and they won't even bring down the range racks in the mid. So very nice defense there from DK. They'll also get the tower denied in the off lane, however, by U9, and they will have to buy back on the Tide.
Definitely. Cold Snap as well as the Axe were able to assassinate the Abaddon on the retreat, and TongFu are starting to lose a little bit of grip on this game, especially when U9 doesn't have that BKB up. Their ability to fight is very limited.
Yeah, and it is now down to 7 seconds, so he's going to be more and more susceptible to this Ravage as well as what everyone else has to offer. The call being, or having the duration that already is just over 3 seconds, is about half his BKB at this point, and that does pierce magical immunity, so they do have a lot of ways to lock down U9, and with that quad core, as we mentioned in the draft, the later this goes, the more worrisome it gets for TongFu. Despite having that mid-range melee racks advantage, DK are going to look to push it in here, and there will be a response from the full lineup from TongFu.
Even though it's a nuisance for them to deal with these mega or super melee creeps, rather, it's something that their team can definitely handle. A lot of good wave clear spells coming out from most of their heroes, if not all of them. Cold Snap going to eat an Ice Path in the middle lane, but right now it's more or less a standoff as we wait for somebody to find and initiate.
Yeah, they can use him easily as the frontliner with the Shadow Dance passive as well as his Shadow Blade, and even the Dark Pack jump form from CTY. He's not going to find one. He's going to get Yule's up. The Ice Path was on cooldown, however. He'll pop the Blade Mail. He's dropping really low. He'll have to get swapped back by XPG and will be just fine for the time being. The Dark Pack was used though, and Keon not going to be able to get there for the lasso. So good pounce out from Cold Snap. Everyone going to back off for the time being. They're going to have to heal up CTY, but it doesn't look like there's an urn on the side of DK. Yep, no urns for the full lineup. The mech is there from Dreamy U, however, they will bring down this tower. Dreamy U going to find the last hit there. Cold Snap jumps forward into an Ice Path, but will get off the Shadow Dance, and looks like they will have to back off since that cooldown was used here for the next little bit.
DK might be able to find somebody after the fact, but then again, so might Yan. We're in for a potential fight. Jump in. Axe looking for the call, but doesn't connect onto anybody. And Cold Snap with the Shadow Blade wearing off. They're going to be forced back. LPC on this Battle of Abaddon with the Maelstrom really going to town in the last couple of fights, but for now, both sides are going to be repelled. Roshan is up, and that might be our next objective for DK to set their sights on, with the double Ravage still.
Yeah, they still have double Ravage available to them. Very good pit fight for certain. There is the Lasso Blink available from Keon here. Still wasn't able to use it in that engagement, and they will finally start to establish some map control for TongFu. DK's been very diligent about keeping their vision up, but the gem has been picked up by Keon now. He's also got an Ogre Club and 2,600 gold, so is only about 300 away from a full BKB.
Yep, well, DK posturing around the pit, but then again, as is TongFu. Both teams have decent lineups for taking it as well. Batrider up in the high ground, not spotted out by the dire side, just trying to get as much vision as possible as DK are currently smoked up, and let's see if they're going to be able to find this pick off. We're in for a big fight that's brewing very shortly.
Definitely so. They'll actually walk right into the pit looking to find something. Won't get their smoke pop. They'll drop a sentry on the ground and look to stake it themselves. In fact, with that wave of terror, they're melting it pretty darn quickly, and there needs to be a response quickly from TongFu. There's the flame break. Does it get anyone to the high ground? It does not. They will instantly mech up as well. And it looks like TongFu may forfeit this over. Ice Path does land on free. The Macro Pyre is there as well. Roche dropping very low, however. Shadow Fiend does get that off. The Ravage is there, but it only hits on 2. Dreamy U's already used up his BKB, so when he comes back, he doesn't have that. The Vengeful's going to go down on the high ground. They'll pick off the Slark as well, and Dreamy U left to his own devices in the pit. TongFu finishing him off despite that Requiem. U9 barely surviving the death Requiem, and all 5 from TongFu are up. The Aegis is down. CTY looking for that dunk on the troll, isn't going to find it. We'll have to blink back to the north, and a big win again for TongFu. There is buyback available, however, on both Cold Snap and Shadow Fiend, so we'll look to see if they force that here.
We talked a lot about the power of double Ravage inside the pit, but Jakiro is no slouch either. Ice Path connecting on the majority of DK and Macropyre, constantly burning them down. Nobody could actually do anything, and it was full panic stations. Even though DK get the Roshan kill and the Aegis after the fact, now it's definitely favored towards TongFu. Let's see if he'll be able to mop up another lane.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe perhaps a bit of miscommunication as well. As you mentioned, that Macropyre doing a lot of work. And we saw the Tidehunter drop that first Ravage and then proceed to blink out of the pit. And he left XBG as well as Dreamy U to die there. Cold Snap pounced out as well. So it looks like Tide and the Slark were on the same page, but they left the rest of their lineup in the pit to die off. And the Slark even dying on the high ground. Nice blink up by Kion to pick him off. CTY is looking for something. He can get a two-man call here, but Cold Snap's gonna TP out of base. He'll get telekinesis up instantly. Jump in from Black Sea. He'll get Yules before he gets the Ravage off. Swap back onto the Slark. Will keep him up for now, but XPG pays for his troubles here. U9 will be able to bring down CTY. Cold Snap is the next to fall as well. Instant buyback from the Slark. There's no buyback available from this Axe. Dreamy U dropping very low, and DK gonna call the GG here. Well played by TongFu. They take them down in under 35 minutes, and definitely something we mentioned that they needed to do is bring them down early on.
And it worked out so wonderfully for them. The power of Troll and company to take down those towers was absurd, and TongFu put it to great use. The smallest of openings was abused so greatly by them, and I might even look to see Troll banned out in the next stage.
Yeah, definitely showing their versatility in the draft screen as well. Not something that looked considerably dangerous on paper. But either way, they're going to take game one of this best of two. And if they're able to win up this game two, guarantees them a top 4 spot, guys. So that's game one of TongFu versus DK. We'll be back with game two shortly.